Hey coaches, Corbin Smith here with More Than The Scoreboard. I wanted to let you know I created MTTS Sports Group. We specialize in team leadership training, leadership speaking, and staff development seminars in order to align your staff together. We also offer the Tour Crucible event, which is a team leadership stress test, 6 hours, fully immersive for you. Go to mttssportsgroup.com and let us know how we can help. Enjoy the podcast. Because I'm going to introduce you first. So DeChon Burns, part 2. You were one of our first guests, head coach at Linfield Christian School in the Temecula area in California. And having you back because we got a lot to talk about, dude.
Yeah. We got to chop it up a little bit, man.
You were just telling me about the new facilities you guys got before the season, and I've seen them via text and pictures and stuff, but it looks pretty sweet. Does the new locker room that they dress in, that the kids dress in, the new lockers and all that, you go out a door and you're right into the weight room, right? Because I know you have an outside weight room.
We go to the weight room, through the weight room to the field. It's a sweet little deal.
That's
sweet
good,
little situation.
Man. That's good. Good deal.
Yeah.
How you been?
Been well, man. Been well. Went and saw the granddaughter and, hung out a little bit.
Yeah,
I was in AZ. I was in Surprise.
Is that where she's at?
Yeah, Surprise, Arizona. I was up there at Surprise. Good. And then right next to Goodyear, right? Surprise, Goodyear.
Yeah.
Yeah, right there, man.
Yeah.
Out here by my man Corbin. So it was a weekend. It was a turnaround. So I was in and out.
Yeah, no, I'm not out there yet anyway. We're moving back there in late June, so I'm still up in Colorado. So we'll be back out there in June, and it'll be a lot easier. It's kind of cool having granddaughters. So I have 2 now.
Congratulations, man.
Preston has 2 daughters. So
does he really?
Yeah.
Hey, your whole world is different, right? It's all different, right?
Yep.
You hold them, they go to sleep with pops. I'm still
don't see them enough though.
No, bro. I gotta. I'm almost gonna drive. And then Barb's out there. Kurt lives in
He lives up.
Yeah, Goodyear, something like. So it's like right next to where she's at, maybe 15 minutes away. So gives me reason to go see Barb and then go ahead.
Yeah. So are you guys in the middle of just getting everything lined up, getting your calendar done and everything lined up for off season and summer?
Yeah, looking to doing some stuff with the staff. Actually, after this, I got an interview with the young man and got off-season conditioning. We started a little later, because we have the season finishes and the grades, and you got finals, and there's the winter formal. Just everything's kind of pushed because you got football. And then we did a retreat last 2 weeks ago that all school, well, the whole school goes up the mountain for a Bible retreat, almost like Bible camp.
That's
like
good.
3 days. And then we came back. So now once we got back from there, now we're going to start our off-season weight training, a couple days a week, get after it, knock the dust off. And then our administration to do some parent meeting stuff. And,
you have a new AD.
2.
You just got back from where?
Glacier, Orange County. So the Glacier Clinic. Yeah. Saw Gilbert.
How was that?
It was good, man. Saw Jay Gilbert. Gilbert's at Servite. Jay. And saw some cats, saw some guys, got to hear some guys speak and just make sure, staying ahead of the curve. I mean, you know how it goes.
Yeah. Did Servite hire somebody new?
I think they're in the process. Yeah, Jay was saying they're in the process.
Yeah.
We'll see. And Oscar's at Montgomery, as you know.
Montgomery now.
Yeah.
We've got some changes. And I was saying you got a new AD, right?
Yes, 2. So we have a senior AD. And Matt Curran came from SC for about 16 years. And then Brian Weathers is our other AD. So, for you guys, B was on the show, I think. Yeah, B was on. Yeah.
He was early on, too. After you, but I think he was like 15 or 16 or 14 or something like that.
Right.
So if you guys are listening, you haven't listened to Brian Weathers. He's now an AD, no longer a basketball coach, but he's good, man. It's nice to have an AD that's a former coach, huh? Or at a coach at heart.
And what's great is their vision is like the whole athletic, like the school, right? It's not just football, it's not just basketball, it's not just baseball. They're really geared into the whole school. for athletes across the board, and how does that unify with the school mission, encompassing teachers, players, coaches, cheer squad. I mean, really, they've really done a good job of incorporating that.
That brings something up real quick because I've been talking about this lately with some guys, but I know coming from, I mean, I went to Loyola, coming from an all boys, Christian Catholic based school. I've told people on the podcast that it's interesting to me because you talk about culture. Our culture as a football program was no different than our culture at the school. So what I meant by that is, the public schools I've been at, the culture for the football program is normally different than the culture at the school. And what you try and do as a coach, as a head coach, is build up that culture to the point where it now trickles down and affects the rest of the school and administration and all that kind of stuff. But at a public school, that's hard. So I know you have experience with that. A lot of people listening don't. Um,
Mhm,
I know Oscar now does at
mhm,
Montgomery. I'm sure Corey does at Bishop Amat, stuff like that.
mhm.
But it, what's that like being at having a Christian based education, and really having that culture that you guys have as a football program really trickles down instead of the football program culture trickling down to the rest of the school. It's the opposite. The school's culture trickles down to what you guys do.
Yeah, it's about alignment, right? So you got to be in alignment. So when I took the job years ago, and I came as an assistant, but the bottom line is whoever gets in a position of authority under the umbrella of the school, right? Um, that individual's mission is not bigger than the mission of the school. And so you got to make a decision. Do you fit? Can you see yourself doing it? Can you comply with it? Does it cause you to change who you are? And it was an easy fit for me, an easy plug to come in because the belief systems and what they were about aligned with who I've been, I try to pattern myself to be on a daily basis. That it was simple, and then we had some changes, in the administration and above me. So we've been like the longest standing, the most consistent situation. So there's been a lot of times that we've had some coaches that came in or admin came in and kind of leaning on what we've been doing over the course of the 15 years, being pretty consistent and found that it's aligned. And then they've kind of pulled some pieces from us, and then we're operating under the mission statement, as
Yeah.
developing young people with good character and then serving the Lord in whatever capacity. I'm not here to judge. We just got to get it done.
Right, right, right. Um, that kind of leads me into kind of what I wanted to start chopping up about.
Yeah,
What is going on, man, in high school football? You got, and I'm not saying anything bad about the programs they're at because I don't know, I've talked to them both, but you got Oscar McBride wins a state championship. 2 years later, he steps down. You got John Bonaventura, who's changing lives and doing good things at Temecula
mhm,
Valley. He steps down, and I don't get on Twitter that much, and I kind of get on it just to get the news, quite honestly.
mhm.
But every time I'm turning around, Kurt Hines at
Yeah,
Coronado. I mean, he
yeah.
gets let go, and 3 days later, they hire one of his assistants. And every time you get on Twitter, we're seeing, and I know you are too, we're seeing good dudes that have been around for a long time that are having success, like, I'm done, and stepping down and, resigning and what's going on, man?
I think
Because it's
once again,
bugging
I,
me.
I I think it's like alignment for and the directions of programs and being on the same page. Like, hey, this is where we're going, and our innate job as coaches, right? At least the guys that are in my circle. And you mentioned obviously three that we kind of keep tabs on. Um, is development of the young man, and in some cases young woman, to be positive and effective pillars in the community while upholding the standard that whatever program or organization has. Um, and I think that sometimes there's a miss, right? Admin is looking at it this way, maybe to maintain a program or just be status quo, and then you have guys that are true competitors and We don't settle just for
Successful too.
successful in many walks of life, right? We're just not talking about the
Right.
ball, right? I mean,
Right.
if you looked at O's resume and John's and Kurt Hines, I mean, there's a lot of experience, and we're taking friendships out of it. We're talking coaching, what they've seen, what they've done, the decisions they've had to make, the places they've been prior to being at the high school level, and the places that some of them currently are while being at the high school level, where they're used to making big time decisions, right? That affect a lot of lives, and they're like multi-million-dollar decisions. And they come in with that same fire, that same vigor, and sometimes it doesn't match. You know, they're high achieving, and you got some people that just want to, hey, let's not ruffle the feathers, and let's not do this, or maybe it's hard to draw a line in the sand and stand on some business that might ruffle some feathers. It might ruffle feathers of big time donors, but if it's not good for the program, then you got those guys that are like, hey, if it's not going to service the whole, we can't specialize the part, right? So I think that's what's happening a lot, and maybe it gets a little sketchy, a little I don't want to say controversial, but it gets a little treading in that water where you got to make a stand. You got to be on one side of the fence or the other, and that's tough to do for some places because it means you might get a few more phone
Get some
calls than what you're
blowback.
used to getting,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like another one, Victor Santa Cruz, right? At Jay Sarah. I mean, but see that situation, he had success there, and he's a hell of a coach, and he's a really good man. I mean, you turned me on to him, and
Mm.
like, I mean, a lot of these guys you turned me on to, and I appreciate it. But it's kind of like when my dad went from U of A to SC.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
at the time, back in the late '80s, like
88.
SC, if you were going to be the head coach at USC, like it came with some shit, right?
Yeah. Right.
Like you knew people could say whatever the hell they wanted, but you knew that you had to win and you
Right.
had to consistently win. And I'm talking like a lot of games. Like
Right.
if you were winning 8 games a year, that's not enough at SC back then,
Right.
right? And, in high school, same thing. You take a program like Jay Sarah, right?
Mhm.
You take a Poly, a De La Salle, you take a Mission Viejo, you take now Santa Margarita, you take all those, and I know I'm missing a ton, but you take those schools like when you get hired,
Yep.
when Carson got hired at Santa Margarita, he got hired for one reason,
Does.
right? And that's what he did this year. When you get hired at De La Salle, you get hired for one reason.
Right.
Um, do you think that administration, and I kind of have this philosophy. And again, I totally respect people that go into administration. I mean, to go that route, like that's a hard journey to get to, right? And they deserve all the credit and everything they've gone through. At the same time, we're talking about high school athletics. We're not talking about we're not talking about throwing around your business plan to a bunch of coaches. Like, it's not a business. A Now, I say that, but at the same side of my mouth, I'm saying Jay Sarah's and Polly's and Santa Margaritas and all that kind of stuff. Their expectation, like if you would have gone after that Jay Sarah job, you would have known that what the expectations were, and that was to win. They don't, you know. So the point about my dad in SC was when he went there. It used to be where college coaches and high school coaches, it wasn't just about being successful on the field. It was about your graduation rate. It was
Right.
about, are you in the newspapers for bad reasons?
Right.
Are you developing men of character,
Right.
not football players of character, but men of character? All that
Right.
came into play.
Right.
And, when we got fired in Missouri, that had changed.
Yeah.
Mike Alden was AD, and I think Mike's a good AD, but he had kinda gone to the dark side when it came to the business model compared to the athletic models and why we got into it.
Right.
Um, do you think that's having a lot of effect? It's gone from obviously from college, right? Because now if you don't win, it doesn't matter what school you're at. It doesn't matter what your how many guys you graduate. It doesn't matter with the portal and the NILs and shit like that. Do you think it's trickling down to high school?
I think we talked about it one day, one morning, Saturday morning, we're talking. it's kind of trickled up, if you will. It's kind of flowed up, right? So I think
What
the
do you mean? What do you
culture.
mean by float up?
So I think that it started with the group of folks back in 12, 13 in the youth leagues, right? At least out here on the West. And there was jumping around like there was a house of pain. Cats were jumping around this organization, that organization, and they weren't happy. And they were kicking up dust in the youth league, right? And there were some names, and they're kicking up dust, and they're going here and they're going there, and it creates the issue. Oh, well, I got to keep them happy. Maybe we got to do this. They're gonna pull their kid plus another 2 or 3, and then they got to high school and they're holding fast, and then they're battling CIF, and that's a whole nother deal. It's no different than UIL in Texas, although Texas kind of has a grip on it. You know, the UIL don't play over there, or whatever the
Yeah.
organization is in Arizona, but everybody has their governing body, right? And so then it start kind of working from youth league to high school, and then those same personalities or characters get to college, and they're pushing for narratives that are creating the semi sort of everybody gets a trophy model, or get if I'm not happy with facing adversity, which is something that was one of the pillars
Right.
when we're playing sports. You know, playing for your dad, it wasn't easy. It wasn't sweet, man. I mean, our secondary had Carrier, Culture, Hill, T. Butts, Ernie Spears, and we weren't mincemeat. The guys that played behind them, I mean, Steph and Hollandquist, Big Daddy, you know, Zuri, Z. What?
Seahorn and all those
Yeah,
guys. Yeah.
we weren't chopped liver. You know, D. Gar and Slink. You know, all those guys, but you had to deal with adversity. So it wasn't like, you know, I'm redshirting and Affy. I got to see Eric Affolter every day. I got to see JJ every day. Every day. Like, I got to see Paul Green every day. Scotty G every day. Harlow Pulling every day. Ernie went forward to the Saints. I'm going to get in when Ernie's tired. I'm going to get in if we're up and we're doing our thing, right? And I have to
Right.
go do my thing on special teams to get on the field behind Ernie.
Hmm.
And so there was a standard about wearing that helmet to the back over your left shoulder. There was a standard, yes, sir. There was a standard about wearing that coach, your dad, he didn't have to say, Rogie didn't have to say, BA didn't have to say. It was kind of like, listen, man, and I'm jumping to jump back. We played Ohio State. I remember I ran in the wedge and I got popped. And I tried to give Scotty Graham, now he's a UW, I tried to give him everything I had. Aha, I went in there and I flew back. And Carrier ran up to me and said, that don't happen here. Don't ever let that happen again. Say less. I didn't need to hear it from any. Now, granted, any game and you see the film, you see the clip, you get coached. Nah, man. No, that Carrier's like, that don't happen here. I don't care how hard you went, you better find a way to go harder. Like, you blow the wedge up. My job was a wedge buster, so blow the wedge up. Then Ernie goes out, and stinking Jeff Graham's a tight end. Ernie goes out, he gets hit, he gets knocked out. I got to go in. Ross, Junebug, and Carrier looked at me and said, hey, they didn't call me D. Burns. They didn't call me, they're like, look, freshman. I was like, hey, June, like,
Hmm.
come on, you know, come on, Ross, come on. Political, come on, MC. Like, look, if they get 1 yard, it's going to be a problem. So we know what's happening. Ernie goes down, they're going to go slide. I'm on the nub side. I'm getting power. If they get 1 yard, it's going to be a problem, D. Burns. I didn't need to hear from Coach April. You know what I'm saying? I didn't hear that. I didn't hear from Coach Smith. May rest in peace. You know, hey, I got in the huddle. It was like, hey, 1 yard, like 1
Yep.
yard.
Yep.
It's an issue. So it trickles up to where that gets subsided. It's about comfort. He's really trying hard, and you know, what do you expect? And then, you know, there's all these other factors that go into it. So now when it gets to college and they're saying, okay, look, if this is the way, and you and I both know a bunch of guys that are in the business, and they're choosing to opt out because they just can't deal anymore. They're just like they're refusing to deal with the stuff that has nothing to do with football. So like, if I'm going to be in a position where I got to deal with it, let me be in a position where I can make a decision, right? Let me go
Right.
to college. Where, okay, we can do it. And I'm not a fan, but if this was cracking, we'll go in the NIL. Okay, you don't do your deal. You're an employee. We'll take your NIL back. We'll go find somebody else. We'll take the Amex Black Card. We'll go get another guy. You're off. You can try to find yours. Don't worry about APR. You don't even hear about APR and annual progress rate. You don't hear about that. They're not talking about graduation. It's about this guy got this
Nope.
much up front. He's gonna get this guarantee. 5 schools later, I don't know how those credits transfer so you can graduate.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
how, but maybe it happens. I don't see graduation, which is the whole purpose of going to college in the first place. And let's keep it a beam, man. We went to 4 bowl games in 5 years, 2 Roses, Hancock Bowl, and a Freedom
Freedom.
Bowl, right? At the time,
Hancock Bowl's the Sun Bowl,
yeah, yeah,
just
you're
so
not now
everybody
the Sun, but
knows.
yeah, it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
Hancock
yeah.
Bowl, Sun Bowl. And I spent a couple years at UTEP coaching. So yeah, great place, Michigan State. I mean, it's Chuck Bullock. I mean, it's happening, right? Um, but the Roses was paying like $1 million, I think, at the time, right? So we're bringing in some good revenue to the school, and we're winning. And I think my freshman year there was 14 seniors and 11 got drafted,
Got drafted. Yeah.
and then the other 3 went free agent. Then the next year was like 11 and 9, and the other 2 went free agent. So it wasn't like we weren't putting them out. It wasn't like we weren't winning. But the foundation was you're gonna be a tough son of a buck, man. You're gonna be a tough mother lover. That's what you're gonna be,
Yeah.
and you're gonna deal with
Y
adversity. And now that's not the emphasis, and you're gonna get your degree. You're gonna get your degree. Now it's comfort. You have people that are like, I don't know how many more phone calls I could take about Giant not being
well,
happy, or I have to do this.
it's interesting. It's interesting because I mean, Brent Myers, he's at Montana now, but, was at Weber State for a long time, but, I talk to him usually about once a week, and we were going back and forth. I'm like I kept hearing Montana. I'm like, "Coach," I said, "Brent, what?" And he's like, "Well, it's not official, hopefully," for like 2 weeks, and I
Right, right,
stopped bugging him. In the meantime, I talked to Bobby Houck, who just, stepped down as Montana head coach quite often, known him for 30 plus years, and I was talking to him when the transfer portal was open. We had a conversation, and he's like, "Corb," he's like, "It's not even that it's crazy." He said, "It's the best way I can explain it is like speed dating." And I didn't ask him. I just was like, "Yeah, okay, I get that, like, whatever." Well, I was trying to help a kid that I knew that had just graduated from Georgetown that now's was a graduate transfer and went to Central Michigan, and I was trying to help him. And
mm,
I reached out to quite a few schools and guys I know, and there were a handful of people that responded. It's like, "Yeah, he's a take for us. We want him."
right,
And 2 of them I never heard from again. And then it dawned on me when he said it's like speed dating,
right,
he meant it's, oh, you're speed dating and you sit down with one person, you're like, that's the person. But you
right,
have to keep going. So you go to the next person, it's like, nah. And then the next person, you're like, oh no, that's the person.
right, right.
So that's what he meant. But the whole, it's just, I hope we can get back to, and I don't know if we can. I want your thoughts on this. Do you think that it's redeemable? I mean, anything and everyone is redeemable, right? It- but do you think the culture of the instant gratification, because that's really what it is, the lack of ability to want to deal with adversity, and I think there's a lot of kids that do appreciate the adversity because they see their growth. But I think the parents more so, it's like, nope, it's not working. We're going to take you somewhere else. And then as they get older, it's about money, right? They're using the transfer portal to get more money. Let's call it what it is. Do you think it's redeemable? Do you think the culture we're in right now in regards to athletics is redeemable? And if so, how?
I believe so. I think it's cynical, right? A circle, circulates and kind of the infinity, the figure eight, right? It goes in waves, then it'll come back. I think the dollar will run out eventually, and the tolerance for shelling out this ridiculous amount of money at times for talent that's yet to be proven. It's all on the premise, and then when it doesn't happen, good coaches are choosing to go do something else. So then there's a drop in building that. So We said it maybe, I don't know, the first or whatever the episode was. There's transactional and transformational, right?
Yeah.
So it's real transactional right now. But the transformation for this individual, this student athlete at this time in their life from 18, 17 to 26 nowadays, 27, um, they're missing that piece. So the message, I think people are going to get tired of chasing the inevitable, and there's got to be enough people having the gumption enough to stand fast and say, listen, here's the education piece. There's like 11,000. If you take a number and say 11,000 people, at one point, there was like 11,000 people in the portal,
Right.
right?
In all
Okay.
levels, from all levels, yeah.
Right, from all levels, 11,000. If you just take one side of the ball, that means there's 1,000 people per position. I don't got to be so anxious to choose. I got 1,000 quarterbacks to pull from. And then not to mention the guys that just played in the bowl game. They don't like whatever they don't like. They jump in the portal. So that just knocked down everybody else in there. I just played at Georgia. I don't like it. I jump in the portal. I can mess around and play in the first round of playoffs and end up playing on the national championship team in the same season.
Right. Right.
So would I take a 25-year-old with 30 games under his belt and another 20 potentially for whatever reason, who is past the hype, past people I use this brass tacks? Look, man, we got this for you. It's going to be this. You negotiate your deal, okay, whatever the case is, but you come in to play ball. Or do I want to bring in a person that feels necessarily entitled to this? Because this is what the going rate is for incoming stars that don't mean a hill of beans when you get up there. To what, as a coach, what do I want to deal with? I want to deal with these young 18-year-old problems with the entourage, or do I want to deal with the guy who's not happy having a third round grade
Right.
and he wants to come back and up his stock. So he gets it. He understands, he knows how to be mature. So the education of the parent at the grassroots, I think that will help. And then I think the coalition of guys are saying, hey, I get it. My money in the middle of Connecticut is not like the money that's in the oil state, like
Mhm.
that Texas money is different. That Nike money is
So
different.
100%. Listen, I don't blame college coaches one bit because you and I have both coached at that level. And if you come to me, if I'm coaching tight ends and you come to me and say, and I'm at Missouri, and you say, hey, I got this kid from Iowa. He's a
Mm,
tight end, played every game, wasn't starting, 6 foot, the typical tight end, NFL tight end, 6'4", 250. He runs a high 4.6.
mm,
He's got 2 years left, or do you want to take this 18-year-old kid that we have to bring in red shirt and transform his body, increase his speed a little bit, really develop him, which is one of the things that I always loved, and I know you do too, still
mm,
doing it. Like, that's a no-brainer, and it's nothing against the high school kid, but that's what we're living in, so I'm gonna take the kid from Iowa because it's a plug and play, man. He can
right,
help us now,
right.
and
Mhm,
what do you think? I mean, you've coached at every single level. You've coached at the NFL level, coached college, high school,
mm.
mess around, coach little kids and stuff. I know you did. You're a dad. So, um, what do you think? Is there anything? Do you think you talk about the trickle up effect? So, these kids are now getting in the NFL. Are we gonna? Is that product gonna diminish? Um, or is it gonna continue because of the amount of money in the pick of the litter, and they're taking 300 guys a year at the max and all that kind of stuff?
Let me ask you this question. Your antics are cool until your production doesn't match the antics, right? When your antics outweigh the production, then we're gonna talk about your antics. And we've all seen
That's
it. We've
good.
all been around some
Yeah.
cats that, man, off the field, whew, come on, man. Hey, you need somebody. We need somebody on buddy, right? But now you're seeing in the league where dudes are having hissy fits on Twitter. They're grown men and they're going back and forth on Twitter and requesting. You can request so many trades after a while, but at the end of the day, the guy that writes the big check, the owners, they all collaborate. Hey man, if I don't want to deal with it, guess what? We're not dealing with. You call it cohesion, you can call it collaborating, whatever you want to call it. You own a team, I own a team. Joe Schmo over there is pretty doggone good for me, but he's a headache. And he's requesting out. And if you go and offer him a boatload of money to get him from me, that creates a rift. Now we're getting under some stuff, and I'm gonna say it, but that creates a rift, right? So now when you have your owners meeting, hey, why you go pay Buddy this much? You know, he's a headache. But now they get to talking. Everybody needs the same stuff. Now they're not happy. Well, you don't have that option at the show. So they're not getting these kids, these young men ready to understand. When you
Gotcha.
get up there, you can't go on that. You know, there was a show, Hard Knocks, when Hugh J was at the Browns, right? If you remember, and the
Right.
dude came
Yep,
in
I
and
do.
just trade me. Pardon me? Excuse me? What? Okay, say less. Bye. You know, we'll have somebody in on Tuesday. Matter of fact, Tuesday we had 3 wideouts coming in. We'll just bring a 4th in. Okay, you want to be traded? I mean, just come, you remember the episode? You just was like,
Yeah, yeah, I do.
excuse me, what? And then he went to Buffalo and was out of there, right? So college, if I'm getting fired after game 2 because my position's not productive, or we're not winning, and there's people that are shelling a ton of money in the park expecting to win right now, and that's messing with my collective, whatever the case is. If I'm forced, we got to win right now, then we got to get some people in. And a lot of them are doing it with their hands tied. Like they don't really like it, but if you want to stay alive in it, you're going to have to get a guy.
Right.
So I need development. I'm not talking about, okay, he's really solid. High school, he's pretty developed. I need a guy that's developed enough to play against a first round draft pick, a second round draft pick, third round draft pick. So where am I going to get that from? Unless I have room and I'm one of the moguls in this and my dollars are long, I can afford to pick up 1 or 2 every class.
Right. Right.
And then we can develop. And if it's not right, he can get, hey, listen, come in. Yeah, Corby, we're gonna need you to get in the portal. It's just not working.
Well, that's what they're doing nowadays, right?
Right, right. Hey, go get in the portal. I'm gonna take my Amex Black card. I'm gonna just go shop in, and I'm gonna help you. I'm helping you get in the portal, of course, 'cause I care. But that's freeing up the money. Let me help you get somewhere else because it can free up my money. Or get in the portal. If you don't find a home, hey, this is what you wanted. This is what the collective wanted. The ability to move around freely because the coaches can, and that's not fair to them. And I know there's gonna be a bunch of people, "Oh, you're off. You're getting an old timer." Listen, man. I get it. Life wasn't hard. It wasn't bad in LA, and we had 650 or 690 a month to live off of. Yeah, that's in LA, man. Like 690, that was a total stipend for living in Los Angeles. I can't even get a square inch of a carpet for 690. I might have to stay 4 dudes to a 2 bedroom off
Right.
campus.
Right.
But let's be for real. Now you're gonna give me a stipend of 2,500. I mean, my son was in Arizona and they had a great stipend. He had 4 roommates, and their house is like 10 minutes from campus, gated community, and the rent was like $2,000. I'm getting
Yeah.
2,500 a month. Okay,
Right.
everybody put in $500. Now I got to get my nutrition right. I got nutrition, so I'm going to get my 3 meals and a snack if I miss this. I don't need to buy a
Right. You don't
meal.
have to buy anything. Right.
Right. And then I got to get my snack after I work out. My protein, I got to pick one off the green,
Well, it's
one
already
off the
there.
blue.
Mhm.
Okay. So really, you got $1,700 for the month as a 18. What are we doing? And that
Yeah.
was years ago. Now it's crazy. I was talking to Harlow, and he was like, "What a time to be a student athlete right now." you know, because I can retire too,
100%, man.
right?
Yeah.
I can retire too.
Yeah.
I can medically
Right.
retire. I'm just not feeling that I can retire. So we're not really teaching our young men to hold fast and push through. Now there's times where you got to go. Like it's just not feasible. Like listen, it ain't working. Go in the right place. It's not going to be a good situation. My mental is messed up. And I don't mean the feeble mental. I mean, like, it's really tough to get up and go. And maybe this treatment, nobody's perfect. So maybe this coach is kind of on my neck and it's different. It's personal. And I might need to go a different route. But I don't like that we got blue shoelaces. I want to be able to put a blue shoelace and a white shoelace.
Right.
And I
So
can,
let me ask you this, because we both know that and quite I'll say it so you don't have to, but the NCAA are a bunch of cowards. And they are in it for themselves. They're a multi-billion-dollar organization. The amount of money they make between, football and all the revenue that they get from, media stuff specifically, and then you throw in March Madness and basketball in there, so at what point do you think that there's some sort of legislation where, because they're already getting paid, where th these athletes in college actually become employees of the university
Well,
when they're
it's low
there?
key kind of happening
Yeah,
because when you get the NIL, the reality is you are unemployed, right? So prime time is fining you. You come late to a meeting, $500. You miss this, it's 2,500. So realistically, once you start receiving money for your services, you're an employee or you're a low key professional. The only thing that says is they're pros. So you're an employee. So okay, I'm going to treat you as such. I'm gonna dock your pay for this or like. So times it. If Dion's over there doing it, there'll be other schools that would probably take that lead and run with it.
right.
And okay, we're gonna start doing this. Well, then we'll kind of pull out the young folks that are in it for the money and not to play because they don't love the game, but they like this $200,000 up front or whatever the case is. Right? There's got to be some cohesiveness in the coaching to stand on and be like, hey, I know this team's over here prospering, but the rest of us, you're gonna our organization, school's gonna lose a ton of money because kids aren't gonna want to go because they can't get the NIL. So now you're gonna lose participation, right? Because I'm gonna go to the big bank, take little bank. So I think that and I'm gonna say this, and some people will agree, won't agree. I think it's with that trickle up, the NCAA is saying like, hey, this is what you wanted, you got it. Now deal with it. Like, this is what you wanted. Everybody's protesting this and suing them about that. I need a seventh year. I need a 12th year. I got 2 kids and 3 cars. I need my ninth year. What
Right,
other
I'm
degrees
32
can
years
you
old,
get?
right.
Right. So, okay, fine. Here, take it all, run with it. Now deal with it. Oh, now you're complaining now because he's going on. I can't get a ninth year? A ninth year of college? How many doctorates do you have now? I can't. I mean, the whole goal was to get a degree. I need a
Do you
ninth
do
a
you th
ninth year.
do
Dude, I'm 20. I'm thinking 27.
Yeah, yeah. Do
What are
you
we doing?
think do you think Larry Smith's prophecy from, gosh, 25 years ago is gonna come true where the Power 4, he told me in 2001, one of the last meetings he was at, with presidents and ADs and head football coaches, was there was a push to move away from the NCAA and create 4 power conferences. Now, this
Mm,
is 25 years ago, 4 power conferences with anywhere from 16 to 20 teams, and those 4 power conferences break away, create their own organization. I mean, and at the time, he said most football coaches were in favor of it. About half the ADs were in favor of it, but none of the presidents were in favor of it. Uh, Obviously, times have changed, and he said within 10 years at the time. So he's way off, but I just it keeps replaying in my mind like something has, because there's no regulation.
right,
There's none.
right. We have to have a governing body that comes in and rate. There's a cap, right? And if we're gonna if you're gonna have the recruiting, you're gonna have the whatever. I think Spencer Danielson came out last year, or a year and a half, or 2 years ago, and called some dudes out that were tampering. Okay, the portal opens, then
They're all tampering.
get your huddle on, get your hustle on day one of the portal. But there's nobody regulating loosely. There's a loose um, monitoring of this guy's set to go here, and the first day it's open, he's already got 4 visits set up and bang. Wasn't necessarily the school, but
Right.
it was that runner. It was that
It
guy. It
was,
was
yep.
that handler.
It was that bag
So
man, what they
the
used
the,
to
the
call him. They used
bad
to
the
call him the bag
yeah,
man.
it was the bad guy, and he's getting 15%. He's getting more than what agents get. For what? I don't know, but hey, he's doing it. So I personally think there's gonna be some people that are gonna say, we gotta govern this. What are the rules? And then what are the strict like ramifications for violating? And then you're gonna run other programs out where you're not gonna be able to have a football program. I don't have a football program. I don't have this. We don't have the kids. We don't have the resources to bring the kids in for the NIL deal. Good ball player, he don't want to come here. You know? He don't want to come here for our $20,000. He can get 50.
Do
DeChon
you think
Raiders. Well,
do you think that I mean, you look at programs like North Dakota State just what was that today or yesterday? It was what's today? Monday? Yeah, it was
yeah,
this morning. They're jumping to the Mountain West next season. Sac State is trying to move
right.
up to FBS. I heard somewhere UC Davis too. So there's these schools that are jumping from FCS to FBS. Do we think that's about money?
Well, definitely, you got to get some. Got to stay. How can I align myself with something that can put dollars in my program to keep me at least in the hunt, at least in the hunt, right? I mean, let me have a fighting chance. If I don't, then I'm going to lose, and I'm gonna get the trickle down. So I'll get some guys that were at Cal and they just don't want to be there anymore, and it's just not working. I've been there 3 years. I haven't gotten a field. Let me go to Davis. I'm not knocking. I'm just saying.
Right.
Then it
Right.
messes up
It's
the
the real.
JUCO and
Yeah.
high school kid, right? And so let me go align myself and get in this conference. We won't get on TV. We got a nice little
Yeah.
contract, a little
Yeah.
deal. We can get some now. Now the donors may be willing to put some in because now I we can Corby can let's go get a Corby Smith. He's gonna be on TV. He's in the pack. He's in the Mountain West. They have a
Right.
good
He's gonna
showing,
draw. I,
right?
I want to ask you. I want to ask you about your squad and a couple things with that. Before I do, I want you to because when I created about a month ago MTTS Sports Group, which
Mhm.
is a lot of different things, but phase one is athlete mentorship, and I talked to you. You were one of a handful of guys that I called because I love you and I trust you, and you're going to tell me straight up. But you know, I've never, as a coach, I never believed in recruiting services because they're a money grab. So how could I be different than that? And that was true mentorship, not promising scholarships, not promising I'm going to get you evaluated, not promising exposure, but just to educate the athletes and their parents on the whole process because we know that the recruiting process is screwed up. It's not what it was. It's not what these parents think it was, and it's getting more and more, disheveled every single day. Um, at what age and this is for my own knowledge, but when do you think parents should start educating themselves on how
Well,
the recruiting for
in
the sport of
in
football
the
truly
nature of
works?
the State of the Union, I mean ASAP, right?
Right.
So you're not listening. Okay, my fourth grader just got offered from Ohio State.
I
Okay,
love when you do that.
right, all right, like
Right.
the likelihood of the coach
From
being
a
there when
7
he
on
turns
7. Yeah.
18, 14 years later, is probably not high. I know he's really fast right now, but he don't have a mustache or pimples, right? He hasn't jumped on a BMX bike, got other interests or other hobbies. He hasn't met the kid in Florida that's chasing rabbits that don't have a weight room, or the guy that's cow tipping and hanging out and baling hay and then going to practice. And he hasn't seen that guy that I can go recruit anywhere in the country. So I'm believing the hype people, the social media, the star services, and I think there's a place. I know some guys that do a good job at some of these services and they're honest and fair. But I can't guarantee you squat. And I've been in the war room. Like I've been there on draft. I've had to offer you've offered scholarships. You've had to tell guys I'm going to remove your scholarship. I've had to cut guys. I've had to, draft guys. I've had to get free agents. I can't tell you. This dude looks really awesome until I peel the layers back because it's an investment. He's great, but you know what? This dude don't sit in front of the class. This dude likes to hang out late at night. He's chasing the girls. He smokes. He drinks. His group of buddies they're a little different. They can't be around the facility. That would knock your stock down. So there's no education. Once I was between years ago, like an 11 or 10, after I finished with the Mountain Lions in Sacramento, I was still under the deal. So I was doing symposiums. No holds barred. I'm not aligned with anybody, so we're telling the truth. And I still believe that the word from a high school coach goes further than a service. Now, there's some good ones out there where they'll come in and that university is going to use that service and that service only. They're not using multiple services. You know what I'm talking about, and you know who I'm
But
talking about.
but but let me clarify something. The services that you're talking about aren't necessarily a service that the athletes and their parents pay for. It's a
Correct.
service where they're trusted, like Randy Rogers out of Texas, was a coach forever, started his own recruiting service, but the people he got paid by the universities, by the programs
Correct. We
to
buy
get
from
his
Randy.
lists,
Yes. I
right, to
need his
get
list.
his lists and his evaluations because we couldn't see anybody.
Right. I
So
need his list.
there's yeah.
Yes.
Um,
You're hitting it. You hit it. Randy, we're gonna buy his list. And that's what we're using exclusively. We're not using 5 lists. We're gonna give him a rate. It's not gonna be 5,000 out of Corby Smith's pocket for Preston at 17 years old. So you've had to refinance the house, sell a child, give up a kidney, to make it happen. And it don't. Now you're mad and you want something back. And he's in Cancun somewhere or Puerto Penasco hanging out. You know what I'm
you
saying?
could say Rocky Point. You don't have to
Yeah, yeah.
say it
Well,
all,
I gotta put the
correct.
sling on it, brother. That's how we know we're in El Paso, Puerto Penasco. We got to go down there. So, but the point being, in all seriousness, man, like we have to win it back, not to be haters. Oh, you're just hating. No, I don't have a dog in the fight, man. Mine are okay. They're getting paid. They do this. I don't have a dog in the fight. What I just want to see is you don't get taken advantage of. Your kids' feelings are hurt. You're not putting your nose up to somebody that wants you to come play, and you think that you're better than that. You're not understanding that they're not even thinking about you because I got the 26-year-old potential fourth round draft pick. I'm gonna go get him. Right, wrong, or indifferent. And can't get mad at anybody. Just go where you're supposed to go. So the governing pieces in your question, there's got to be some regulation, right? 100 million. Who has $100 million unless you're Boone Pickens? You know what I'm saying? Like, right? Uncle
Yeah,
Phil got it.
no,
The
you're
Nike, the
right.
swoosh got it.
Yeah, he's got it.
Yeah, but not
Um,
everybody. So what happens? So I got to align with some conferences, can put some dollars in my pocket to make me at least competitive. So then the smaller conferences,
yep, yep, exactly.
programs are gonna, hey, we can't field a team.
Regarding last thing I got for you before we end this, and I just you guys, I don't want to say you struggled this season, but you didn't have the season that you wanted to, right?
Yeah, yeah. We
You
started out rough.
you've had a ton of success. Um, you guys came back and made it a season for sure, which tells me more about the character of your team than starting off 9-1 or 10-0 and stuff like that. But uh, what do you, because and this kind of ties into everything we're talking about with the transfers and all that kind of stuff. I mean, college coaches are now having to deal with what I call instant culture, right? It used to be what you talked about. You step into the huddle and E. Spears or Junior or Mark Carrier or Cleve or any of those guys, Don Barnes or any of those guys were like, hey, if they get 1 yard. So it used to be where you create a culture as a coach, and the older players would enforce that culture in that standard. There was a standard. And so the younger guys, i.e. you in that situation, as you got older and a younger guy came in, you would say the same thing to him because that's just what you did there, right? We don't do this here. I
Right,
don't care. You're the wedge buster, like, knock your head off, but you're not going to get blown back.
right.
Um, but high school coaches understand that I think, and maybe that was one of my problems. Um, one of my flaws was that my mindset was always like that, right? I'm going to
Right.
teach the older guys, put it in their hands, give them the accountability, set the standards, and they need to enforce it to make it their team. The reality in high school football is that the turnover happens every year. So every year you almost have to redevelop the culture. I mean, of course, you have your standards,
Mhm.
which are never going to change. But from a culture, like, how do you get these guys that just went through a disappointing season for them, right? For a lot
Mhm.
of schools, it would have been considered a success. How do you get these juniors that are now going to be seniors to sit there and what do you expect of them with, the freshmen and sophomore that aren't playing varsity? Do you expect them to implement those standards and hold those kids accountable? And how do you get those kids to do that at 17 years old?
Well, the beauty is, honestly, that we come in, there's some things we're just not wavering on. The standard is the standard. So what we do a job of, if guys come back and they talk to our guys. So the
There you
older
go.
heads, so the Ty Whitworths, the Greg Holtz, the Lorenzos, the Sims, the guys that have that been through the hard times, right? Because small private Christian schools, so we don't have 90 dudes on the roster, man. A big team is 50. So at one point in time, we had a JV team. And then after 17, the numbers got low, so we didn't have a JV. So as a freshman, you coming in, you in the fire. You gonna play. So listen, man, out here it's tight from the beginning, from meetings to what's said out of my mouth to what's said to older guys, and then we pair the big brother, little brother. So there's an older
Yeah.
head
Yeah,
that's
we
with the
talked about
young
that.
guy. You got to bring him in. Listen, man, we don't bend over at the rim. We don't walk between the thick lines on the field. We don't walk. We hustle. All the look in class, we're not getting in trouble. That's just reiterated over and over. So it's just a way. It's just a culture of this is what we're going to do. And if you deviate for a little bit, well, guess what, Corb? I'm your big brother. You got 100 push-ups. I got 50. We're gonna have a different conversation. I'm not trying to do push-ups because you don't know how to go to class on time or sit up and not disturb the teacher. You don't know how to not finish. Effort is important. More important than winning is competing. So you got to want to compete. So we started off with 37, which has been a nice number for us this year. Before the first game, I lost two of my starting corners. One, the scrimmage week, he breaks his arm. The first day of pads, my other corner breaks his foot. I had to play with two
Ugh,
freshmen. Next up, brother, I got to play with two freshmen. They're under
yeah.
5'10", 5'9", and we're seeing 6'2" receivers. You know what's coming your way. Bombs over Baghdad, buddy. So get ready. You better play it. You better not give up a route. You better contest. You better throw. And then you have to do some special teams. And then by the end of the season, we got to the second round. So the first, it was dismal. I think we're like, oh, and we're over. And that's something that really doesn't happen here, but it wasn't like jump ship. You know what I mean? Yeah, oh my gosh, it's all this. You got to stick to the plan. So we got to league and did well, and we ended up playing nine freshmen and finished with 22 guys. Injury and everything else. So we get to the second round of playoffs and lose by like two to the team
Right.
that eventually plays in the CIF. So if we take the rose colored glass off and look at the program, hey man, these dudes they're fighting.
You're in good shape. Yeah.
Right. We're gonna be okay. You just gotta trust the process, TTP. And you don't gotta understand it, but you gotta trust it. I don't need you to understand it. I need you to jump in and trust it because you've had your eyes open to see what happened before you got here. You don't make it, right? You only make it better. You ain't the end all be all. You know what I'm saying? Like you came in after us, and we would watch you play baseball, and we dap you up after the games in Loyola. And if you don't come to FC, this is what we doing. So if you gotta throw one against me and complete it, brother. Like you trying to score a tub on me. We still gonna go to Cafe 84 and get a slice of pizza afterwards. But hey, man, you got to try to score on me. If not, come on, be better. So
Yeah.
that's what it was. So I'm sticking to that. That doesn't mean that it's just all or nothing. But what I'm not going to do based on my belief system is I'm not going to compromise. That word don't exist in the Bible. Like compromise don't exist. Sacrifice
Yeah.
does, but compromise don't. So
Yeah.
hey, and it's
That's
not
good.
for everybody, brother. It's not for everybody. I get it.
No, it's not. Not
But
well. I love you, big dog, and I appreciate you, man, and I love having you on. I love talking to you. We
always,
go on
man.
for hours.
Yes, yes, indeed. We'll probably chop it up off
So
of this later on.
we will.
Tell
We
everybody I
will.
say hello, man. Congrats to the
I will.
nephew
You too.
doing this thing at U of A, and
You too.
I see it. I just got him.
All right. Love to the boys and granddaughter and everybody else.
I will do, brother. You do the same.
Okay, man.
All right,